The devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Deep from the bowels of the Macabre Theater Laboratory, we bring you Macabre Cast. There is nothing wrong with your streaming service. You are exactly where you should be, where the slush puppy machine is always on and cold. Your favorite horror mag is on the rack, placed discreetly between Women's Wear Daily and Cosmopolitan. I'm your host, Dark Mark, along with my moldy counterpart, Karis, the Little Mummy, here to bring you the latest episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't. Ew! This is a safe space for those who grew up quenching their thirst from a garden hose. Newbies welcome, regulars welcome back, and worshippers, get out of here. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button and tell a friend to do the same. Even that guy who waltzes through life without a car because he has a team of friends he pesters for rides everywhere. Yeah, that guy. If you wish to interact with fellow monster kids, follow the Facebook page Macabre Theater. It's there where you can send me a voice message through Messenger and be part of this show. A link can be found in the description of this episode. Macabre Cast episode 138 begins now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Adoro il cast macabro.
Well, Karis, another year in the books. Stranger Things has ended, and therefore this episode 138 is All Things Stranger Part 2.
Big wow.
Come on now, Karis. You don't like Stranger Things?
I'm not buying into the show that it was all planned out. I think they just make things up as they went along.
Well, there are a lot of hidden things in Stranger Things, you know. I listened to another podcast that suggests upon rewatch of the last 4 episodes, look for all the Alice in Wonderland references, including Holly's very Alice apparel and Henry's white rabbit attire.
Hey, I know. How about we move this puppy along? Here's a joke. Doc, I know Christmas is over, but do you know what they call a poor Santa Claus?
I don't know, Karis. What do you call a poor Santa Claus?
Saint Nicholas.
And on that note, all 11 seasons of The X-Files will be streaming for free in 2026 on Pluto TV. Return to Silent Hill has been given an R rating by the MPA and is set to release January 23rd. The Duffer Brothers were to be doing an adaptation of Stephen King's The Talisman for Netflix, but it has been reported that that is no longer happening. And that's it for horror news. And Draven agrees. Draven the blood-vomiting bat. Children of the night, what messes they make. So here we are, All Things Stranger 2. And as you know, the last 4 episodes, 3 that dropped on Christmas, and then the final that dropped on New Year's Eve. So let me start with the 3 episodes before the final. In all honesty, for a show that has taken this long in the making, everything we learned in the 3 episodes leading up to the final of the second half could have been summed up in 1 episode. Let's be honest. Not a whole, there was some great stuff. The return of Max, Will revealing, Will revealed his powers at the end of episode 4, so I don't even count that. But I just feel like everything we learned in those 3 episodes could have been summed up in 1, if we're going to be honest. Now, let's talk about the final. So, Karis, hit that spoiler button. If you haven't seen the final yet, you probably shouldn't be listening to this. So punch it, Karis. Spoilers around, warning, spoilers. Season finals are exciting, and I do really like Stranger Things. I don't want to give the impression that I don't like it. I felt that they really went hard to work Will's coming out story into the plot line. Even though it was very unnecessary, they worked that. Linda Hamilton's character seemed, to me, very forced and not very believable or threatening. But that's just my opinion. And apparently, Lucas had a grudge match with a lawnmower between episodes 7 and 8 and lost. And he literally lost like a foot of hair at some point. I just don't know when, and they didn't say. Hopper pleading to Elle as to not kill herself was the fantastic emotional delivery that we've come to expect. One of the best one-liners, I think, goes to Delightful Derek and his response to Henry, referring to sucking something.
Ew, seriously?
That is so gross.
Long before Hopper suspected 8, Elle's little friend from the lab there, Kylie, I think her name was, I was all over. I was convinced that she was a plant, like a Vecna agent of some sort. I was convinced she was a bad guy. And now we know that I and Hopper were both wrong. So, overall, the apocalyptic battle, I think the season 4 nailed it. This didn't seem to have the same intensity. It was great, though. Okay, of course, the Elle and Vecna showdown was nothing but epic. Nancy, by the way, seemed to have changed her name to Rambo. And hooray for Joyce, who finally got her whack at Vecna. And the therapy of that will probably last a lifetime. As far as the show's fate of the main character, 11, not what anybody wanted, but story-wise, maybe what had to be to end the nightmare that descended onto Hawkins. The final ending was also the emotional ending we could only hope for, giving us just a glimpse of what is to become of our beloved characters, with even a twist on the fate of 11, and a passing of a generation to the next. Yes, I really enjoyed the entirety of Stranger Things, and I really liked the final. If it seems like I've been a little harsh, I was just being honest. Be interesting to hear what you, the Monster Kids, thought of all things Stranger.
You know what? I'm just glad the damn thing is over. Oh, look. Chicago Tina's on the line. She's all about all things Stranger.
Way cool. It's Chicago Tina.
Hey, Dark Mark and Karis, the little mummy. I just finished watching Stranger Things, and I was going to call you last night when it ended, but I figured I'd wait a year. Happy New Year, everybody. I have to say, I like the way it ended, and I have a great love for the show. And I wish I could meet the Duffer Brothers and thank them for bringing that fun story into my life, because I loved it. Also, I'm calling because I wanted to clear something up. Last week, I recommended to everybody to watch Castle Rock, but I made a huge mistake. I actually started the series on the second season. For some reason, when I went onto it, I forget, Netflix. It was queued up to the second season, the first episode. And I started it there. And the first episode of the second season was really good. But then I went back and watched the first season. And I kind of agree with Mark. It did go off into to different paths, and I just kind of lost interest. It was a little slow, but it still was pretty good, and I still liked it better than Welcome to Derry, and it wasn't because of that first episode with the birthing scene, Mark, because I've seen much more gory things or weird things or whatever you want, and that doesn't bother me at all. But the whole vibe about Welcome to Derry to me was kind of like overcast with sadness and just, I don't know, the characters were kind of crybabies and it got on my nerves after a while. And that's why I didn't like Welcome to Derry. I didn't want to say anything because, I don't like to be too negative, but that's just it. It's just not my vibe. But I do appreciate the gore and the different, well, I'm not going to go into it anyway, but I'm going to go back and watch the second season, or finish the second season of Castle Rock, and hopefully it's better than the first season. But I really love all the Easter eggs in that, and just it's still a good show. So I hope you give it a shot, Mark. Second season, first episode, watch that and see if you like that. But if not, well then, I hope y'all have a happy new year anyway. And hopefully there's some good things coming out because I sure am bored with what's coming up so far. I haven't seen anything that's really sparked my interest. So keep coming with your recommendations. And anybody who likes science fiction, anything, mention anything, even if it's not horror. I love science fiction now. So I guess I'll talk to you guys soon, and I hope you all had happy holidays, and onwards into the future. Talk to you later. Bye.
I still need to see the last episode of Welcome to Derry, which I believe Metal Melody said was a doozy. Castle Rock, well, maybe someday. I recall that they have Jack Torrance's sister in an episode or two, but that's all I know about that. Sci-fi? Well, I'm sure by now you've seen Carpenter's version of The Thing. But what about Ridley Scott's Blade Runner with Harrison Ford? Runaway from 1984 with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons. And yes, I mean Gene Simmons of Kiss. Tobe Hooper's Life Force from 1985. And 1981's Galaxy of Terror. Gore galore with Erin Moran, Joni from Happy Days. And I know that these are old, but just in case you missed them, you might want to check some of those out if you haven't seen them. Always great to hear from you, Chicago Tina, and we hope to hear from you again next week.
And now it's time for Real World Horror. And now here's your host, Dark Mark.
Between 1935 and 1938, a serial killer who had never been caught dismembered at least 12 people, who only 10 were identified, all decapitated, most while still alive. The murders ended as abruptly as they began, and a Bohemian bricklayer named Frank Dalzell supposedly confessed to the crime, but it was discovered that his confession seemed quite coerced, and he was found hanging in his prison cell along with 6 broken ribs. It has never been believed that he was who history has named the Torso Killer.
Tune in next time to Real World Horror with Dark Mark.
So back in episode or 2, Horror Chat Matt mentioned that he saw Osgood Perkins' film Keeper. He felt it came and went so quickly from theaters because it had the appearance of a movie that the studio may have shelved and then released due to the success of The Monkey. Metal Melody felt it was too slow, but let's be honest. If it doesn't move at breakneck speed, she says that a lot, No offense, Melody. We love you here. Well, I had the opportunity to see Keeper, and I liked it. Don't get me wrong, it's a strange movie. I think it was unsettling and atmospheric, but when it gets to the reveal, it all comes together. Is it Perkins' best film? Not by a long shot. I personally love The Monkey, but I like Keeper. So, at least, go check it out.
Horror chap Matt knows all about monsters. He said they were coming to get me tonight.
Hey, Dark Mark, Little Karis, and all the monster kids hang out at the theater. It's Horror Chat Matt checking in. First of all, I hope everybody had a great Christmas and New Year's, and everybody is excited to start the new year. And if you're not so excited, hopefully things will turn around for you. Myself, I have a couple of resolutions. Number one, not so much fun. Got to lose some weight. Number two, definitely a lot more fun. I want to watch a lot more horror movies this year. So I got that going for me. Hey, Karis, Dark's news about Dracula, and sounds pretty good. I hope it doesn't suck. Chicago Tina, I'm glad you brought up It, Welcome to Derry. I'm not a fan either. I watched the whole thing. I have the same criticisms that I did for the two movies that came out. While I did enjoy Volume 1 more than Volume 2, there's just something janky about the CGI in those movies, and I felt that was definitely taking away from the story. And with the It, Welcome to Derry, I feel like the bad CGI was even worse and overused. And Dark, my wife was going to watch It, Welcome to Derry with me, but she tapped out immediately on that birth scene, so that was a good call on that one. As far as Stranger Things Volume 2, the next set of episodes, have to say, I don't know. I think they're just padding this thing out. Stuff happened, but not a lot of stuff happened. A lot of talk. I know there's a big controversy about Will, which doesn't bother me, but probably not the best time for that conversation. But in terms of the story, yes, I guess it makes sense. And again, just it took a long time to really accomplish nothing in those episodes. I mean, yeah, some stuff was done. I'm trying to tread lightly here because of spoilers. So they did set up a lot of stuff. They easily could have done this in 2 episodes, though. Although the rumor of the runtimes, I'm glad, was false, because I was seeing that all these episodes were going to be an hour and 50 minutes long each, and I was glad to see the longest one, I think, was an hour and 15, so that's not too bad. I am excited to see how they wrap this thing up. I will not be going to the movie theaters to watch it, though. That is definitely, we already pay for Netflix. We are not going to pay some extra money to go buy some expensive popcorn. And last but not least, Dark, I can't tell you how excited I am that you are finally on Spotify. This way I'm able to download it and listen to the show at work without any difficulties. One thing I did need to get used to, you sound fine, but I tend to play my podcast at 1.25 speed, and hearing myself at that speed really kind of threw me for a loop. But other than that, I'm very happy you're on there and look forward to more episodes on there. And as always, make mine Macabrecast.
So far, Metal Melody and myself are the only Welcome to Derry fans. Well, actually, Jack-O-Lantern likes it. Lar Horror? Not so much. I'm surprised, Horror Chat, that you didn't have more to say about Stranger Things. Maybe after you see the final, you'll have more input. And yes, happy to be on Spotify. I'm sure you've noticed some differences with the show musically. Spotify is big on copyrights, so I've replaced certain music with compositions of my own. I hope they hold up to the liking. Always a pleasure, Horror Chat, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.
Grim Facts.
Happy birthday to Dark Mark. Hi there, it's Grim Kim checking in on Dark Mark's birthday. We're the same age, so I just wish you extra peace, serenity, motivation, ambition, fruition, manifestation of every creative endeavor, especially that you have this year, Dark Mark, and with thanks for all the ways you enrich my and the Monster Kids' lives. New Year's resolution, get back to contributing more often. It's been a season of grief for me, and I needed a break. Thank you for the well wishes. I'm going to try to pull it together right now. I do these off the cuff, and sometimes emotions come up, and I'm hoping 2026 will be a better year for all of us. I wanted to check in. I missed the deadline, of course, the last two, but I saw a couple great things that I had wanted to see, and definitely resolution for me is just to spend some quality time doing one of my top ambitions, which is chipping away at my expansive and vast list of movies and all things horror that I want to do and see. And I saw two things that have been on my list, and I'm really just so pleased to have seen them both. One is Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's, the director's son, Possessor 2020, and it was Tubi, and it was awesome. And the loose storyline is somebody gets their job is to enter somebody else's body, basically, and use that body to assassinate other people in a corporate way setting at first. And things go awry, as they may in the sci-fi horror genre. Like Cronenberg, ultra moody, and the cinematography was beautiful. The musical score certainly set an ominous tone for everything. They don't over-explain, which is nice, because I don't mind saying, ooh, is this have to do with? Ooh, okay. That's all I need, just a little breadcrumb, enough for me to figure it out and then go, oh, I was right about that. The story was excellent. The acting was excellent. The twist at the end, I don't even want to say a twist, but the way it ended, it was great, because sometimes horror is bleak, and I like it when it's non-Americanized with, everything shall prevail and triumph. I don't like that. I like this. Possessor 2020. The second one was Dagon. I forget what year this is from. I've been wanting to see this. I'm a fan of Lovecraft in general. This is Lovecraftian in nature, for sure. And it was awesome. I was starting to drift off, so I was going a little in and out. I'm going to give it another watch, but I can see why this makes the lists of interesting top movies. People don't talk about as much. And certain parts of it had maybe the lair of the white worm with a little tongue-in-cheek action to it. But as the story unfolds, it's great. It's dark. You don't know what's going to happen in the end. And if you like H.P. Lovecraft and that whole, niche, you will enjoy this. Dagon. D-A-G-O-N. Again, Tubi. I forget what year this one was made, but it was pretty recent, I think. And I think they were British. It's from UK, which is even better than, I don't know, I just have this thing, love-hate with America right now. American film, let's say. Anyway, I just wanted to mention those two recommendations. I did not look at the prompt for this week's episode. I'm just driving along and decided to drop this now before I forget once again. I've just had a lot of brain fog, which comes along with depression. So, doing the best I can, and I'm sure you all are too. And re-listening to past episodes as well and making my way through trying to leave comments. And I think it's awesome that it's on Spotify right now again, which is great. So I'll probably just start listening on that platform. Okay, guys, I wish you all the best for this coming year. It's the only one we have. And today is the only day we have right now because tomorrow is not a promise. And I'm going to let that be my motivator moving forward. Okay, take care. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yes, I recently had a birthday. Thank you, Grim Kim. And we are the same age, 38. We all have things bearing down on us in life. And, you know, when you can call in and contribute, it's always appreciated. And when you can't, no worries. We'll leave the light on for you. Call when you can. Tubi is great for horror movies, especially the older ones. I have not seen Possessor, and I'll have to look into that. Daggone. You know H.P. Lovecraft is my favorite author, and he was way before his time. Dagon is fantastic, and if you've read Dagon, this is one of the better interpretations of H.P. Lovecraft's work. Definitely worth checking out. Always great hearing from you, Grim Kim. Hope to hear from you again real soon.
Don't touch that dial, monster kids.
Yeah, you don't know where it's been.
Pipe down, it's almost time for the final thought.
Not quite, bro. Not before. Cobwebbed classics.
Ooh, yeah, Cobwebbed classics.
Cobwebbed Classics. Welcome to Cobwebbed Classics, where I dust off a lost, forgotten, or just plain unappreciated film and introduce it to, or maybe just remind you about it, so your spooky Saturday night might run a little creepier. This week's Cobwebbed Classic is 1972's Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf, directed by Leon Klimovsky, written and starring Paul Naschy. If you recall, I've talked about Paul Naschy before. When the rest of Hollywood was running around with chainsaws and butcher knives, this Spanish filmmaker was still creating monster rallies. Once again, Naschy portrays Waldemar Danansky, the Larry Talbot wannabe waltzing through life with a curse of lycanthropy. You will either find entertainment in these movies or you will hate them. Any film that has werewolves or vampires in them has my money. So the basic story here is Waldemar falls in love with a woman who convinces him to travel to London, in turn to meet Dr. Jekyll, who can possibly cure him of his hairy curse. This is one of the better films in the long list of Waldemar werewolf films. I absolutely love the comic book style bright red blood that drips from the werewolf's mouth as he rips up the town. Slow motion fight scenes and a beheading are just some of the gothic fun this film brings to the table. And don't miss the werewolf transformation scene on the disco floor. Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf is this week's Cobwebbed Classics.
And now, the new night desk attendant at the Bates Motel, Laura Horror.
Hi, Monster Kids. Laura Horror here. Had to weigh in on Stranger Things final and the final season in general. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. That's all I can say. No, that's not all I can say. But it was just amazing. I loved the final season. I think one of my favorite things about the final season is Max and Lucas's story. And I'm going to throw out a million spoilers here. So again, to warn you, as you were warned in the beginning, if you don't want to hear them, turn it off. Spoilers abound, warning, spoilers. I loved it when Max woke up. I loved it when she said all she needed was Lucas all along. It makes me weepy thinking about it. I love that they are going to continue and that their love is deepening. being a sucker for love. I loved Joyce's story with Hop. They were meant to be together from the beginning. Oh my gosh, the scene with them, I was getting all weepy. But I agree with something that Jack-o'-lantern said to me, that the ending of this was wrapped up in the best way they could possibly wrap it up. Boy, I've seen some stinkers of endings to series. Yeah, Sopranos, we won't talk about that. But this ending was just the way it should be. I loved how they wrapped up Nancy's friend group. I loved how they wrapped up the original group of D&D friends plus Max. I loved how the new kids came along, like passing the torch to the new generation. I loved the ending with Elle. Of course, everybody probably wants to see Elle alive and in their lives, but we all know that there had to be some imperfectness to make a perfect ending, or otherwise people would say it was unrealistic and it was all too happy day at the end. And for those in the know, I believe. That's all, folks.
Yes, Laura Hara does love all things Stranger. And if I had not given her her opportunity to weigh in on the final, for me, it would be out of the lab and into the doghouse.
The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Metal Melody.
Hello, Doc Mark, Kara's Little Mummy, and all the Macabre fans listening. This is Metal Melody checking in. Mark, I just want to say thanks on your episode 137 for the memories when you're talking about walking blocks at 10 years old to White Hen to buy slushies and your magazines. Those were such innocent and fun times. I used to walk to Store 24 with my sister and friends and get snacks and slushies, and my mother would always say, and get right back. I don't know how our parents got through us growing up with no cell phones to constantly check in on us to make sure we were alive. I mean, I use my cell phone a lot to locate my kids. And yeah, they're 19 and 27 now, so too funny. But I just like to see where they are. But yeah, back then, like, oh my gosh, like if you were late, they couldn't just call us and say, you know, where are you? I don't know how they made it through that without a nervous breakdown. But anyway, if we didn't get home when we were supposed to, we got our ass beat. Anyway, moving along though. I wanted to say that I was a little disappointed with episode 7, The Bridge of Stranger Things. It is the least liked episode that I have seen yet. The three that they had, what was it, at Thanksgiving, of course, were awesome. These three were just like, I hope on the finale is fantastic. I also love the whole series of Welcome to Derry. It was much scarier than any of the IT movies that were made. It movies. I'm reading, so I said IT. I have to write my things down because I forget what I want to say when I get on here. I'm so happy to hear there'll be 2 more seasons to come. I'm very excited about that. And you know, like you're saying about Chicago Tina, that you thought maybe it was the burden. You know, you may be right, because I almost stopped watching after the first episode because I thought it was kind of stupid, especially with the burden part. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, this isn't, you know, what it should be like. But I'm glad I hung in there and kept going because, wow, what an incredible friggin' season that was. I also wanted to touch base about Castle Rock. I did watch that. The first season was okay. With the back and forth, future, past, him being the same person but in another time, those type of things my mind can't keep up with, and it makes me aggravated. So that was my least liked episode, or season rather. Season 2 I liked much better though, because I love how it all goes into how prior misery, how it all began, how she found her love for Paul Sheldon, etc., etc. The movies I've watched recently, I don't know if anybody has seen it, but there's a 2024 movie called Monster Island. And this was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. They're two men on an island, like one's a prisoner, one's like I don't know, something in the military, and they find out there's a monster on the island. And at first I thought it was going to be some weird like Japanese movie that looked, like I'm not going to like it, but it turned out being a really good movie. I was like, okay, like I wasn't expecting that. So that was a good movie, if nobody saw it. And I also saw The Lodge. I don't know if any of you seen that. It wasn't a bad watch. It's a little weird. Pretty much a man goes with like his new girlfriend and his son and daughter to a lodge, and there's a snowstorm, but he's got to go to work. He leaves them. Then like all this weird shit starts happening, and the girlfriend is kind of freaked out, like what's going on. And then the kids try to convince her like they're all dead, and they try to like brainwash her into thinking that. And so I liked it. It was weird because it like kept you thinking like what the hell's going on. It's not what you think, and then it really screws you up, the ending. Like I had to ask AI to explain the ending. Because I'm like, are they really dead? Are they not dead? Like, what's going on? Like, I couldn't tell. But sometimes those are kind of movies that I like. But it was a good watch. Not really recommending either one. But I thought they were both good watches. As far as top movies and the worst movies, my good movies, my top movies are, to name a few, Talk to Me, Dangerous Animals, Frankenstein, Sinners, The Gorge, Strangers Chapter 2. And even though this was a TV series, Alien Earth, holy shit, like that, I cannot wait for the next season to come out. That was incredible. And I know Horror Chat Matt really enjoys it too. Worst movies I've seen 2025 is The Ritual with Al Pacino, Drop, The Lady in the Yard, Werewolf or Werewolves, The Presence, Together, Keeper, Black Phone 2, just to name a few of those. Okay, so I watched the season finale of Stranger Things, and I thought it was going to be better than what it was, put it that way. I enjoyed watching it, but I thought it was going to be better. I mean, when they're in the Dimension X or whatever it's called, like, there's no demogorgons or creatures. Like, what was up with that? Like, that was weird. I thought that considering all the episodes we went through of them trying to kill Vecna, that I thought that they killed him pretty easily. I was expecting a little bit more. So I was kind of disappointed. I liked that Will helped her. I liked the end, and I figured they were both going to do it together. Yeah, I was sad at the ending. But that's how I liked to see it end, though. I didn't really want to see anybody die. It started with 11. It should have ended with 11. I thought the ending was okay, but I think the ending after all that was kind of cheesy. I don't think they had to put any of that in there. Yeah, they should have left off with a bigger bang. Sorry, that's what I get to say about it. But anyway, still one of the best series I've ever seen on Netflix. I enjoyed it, and I don't know if they do any spin-offs or whatever it's called on it. I will definitely watch it. But kudos to all of them. Just fantastic actors and actresses, especially for their age, and have been working on this for like a decade. Like, it's just insane to me. I also just want to say that I thought the whole illusion, the whole thing with Callie and the illusion of the kids being gone and everything was really cool. I liked that part. Steve, like, holy shit. Like, when he fell off that ridge there, like, and the screen went black, I was like, you gotta be shit. I was like, okay, this is the MF that's gonna die. But then it was like psych, and it wasn't. And I'm kind of glad, because I really don't want to see any of them die, like I said. But I had a feeling the 11 would be gone, because it makes sense. They're never going to stop as long as she's there. So that totally made sense. Those are just a couple of my favorite parts. And also Vecna, when he's Henry in the cave, rewatching everything. And it gets a bit emotional. It kind of made me feel bad for him. Not for a long time, just a little bit. But yeah, that's all. Those were some of my favorite parts out of it. Can't wait to hear episode 138 when it drops on Monday. And I'll talk to you guys again on episode 139 and see what movies I've seen in the meantime. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Bye.
Of everyone that called in, I truly thought that you would be the biggest champion of the Stranger Things final. I'm actually sad that you were disappointed, but there is that saying that some things can be built up so much that they never live up to the expectations. Thank you for sharing your input, Meadow Melody, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.
2026 and still swearing like a trooper.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greetings, Dark Mark and Karis the Little Mummy. Scary Larry here, talking all things 2025. Hey Karis, why can't dinosaurs clap their hands? Well, they're extinct. Now, I know this will air on the first Monday of 2026, but I managed to squeeze in one more horror flick before the end of the year. I'll get to that shortly. Running down, my favorites of 2025 in no particular order are Final Destination Bloodlines, Clown in a Cornfield, Good Boy, Silent Night, Deadly Night, The Monkey, Weapons. My 2025 stinkers are Wolfman, VHS Halloween, The Strangers Chapter 2, Megan 2.0, Bring Her Back, Hard Eyes. Many of my stinkers were disappointing because they had such potential and it was squandered. No say in this week's subject, as I mentioned previously. I dropped Netflix and haven't seen past season 3. My last horror of 2025, To All a Good Night, came out in 1981. It's one of those I swore I'd seen before, and this is twofold. One, I swore I sat through this once, and two, I have seen it before as it is, in my opinion, a ripoff of the plot to Prom Night. In this instance, it's a bunch of sorority girls bullying a single girl, and she ends up falling and dying. And the following Christmas break, the sorority girls started getting picked off one by one, this time by a killer dressed as Santa Claus. Again, whether I had seen it or not, it's easy to pick out who the revenge killer is. 2 out of 5 stars. Even a free movie can't get that hour and 45 minutes of my life back.
Some of your worst of picks, scary, weren't on my worst of because I outright just refused to see them. Like, I heard so much bad about Wolfman, I couldn't bring myself to see it. Wolfman is one of my all-time favorite Universal monsters. And I love the original movies with Chaney, and I heard so much bad about that, I couldn't bring myself to see it. But interesting list, needless to say. There are some on there I still need to see, obviously, so there's that. Here's what's funny about To All Good Night, Larry. I think I have seen this movie's poster, or I know I saw it in the video stores. I've never seen this movie. And this was the year I was on the verge of seeing it at Christmas time. And now, boy, am I glad I didn't. But we always look forward to your reviews and appreciate them because, as I say every week, Scary sees them, so we don't have to.
From the southwest section of hell, Jack-o'-lantern.
Hey Monster Kids, it's Jack-o'-lantern with some Stranger Things updates. I just want everyone to know that my prediction for the Stranger Things final episode technically was correct. My original prediction for the ending was based off of the fact that no one was getting it right. Everyone was guessing who was going to die in the Stranger Things predictions. And I heard an announcement close to the release that the Duffer Brothers, the creators of Stranger Things, said that no one was correct with their theory. So it got me thinking. Everybody who's working on the show has all been trying to distract us with, oh, it's going to be a bloodbath, oh, you're going to be so sad, it's going to be all these characters. However, I had the idea, what if none of the main characters die and they're just trying to throw us off track from what's really going to happen? And in a sense, I was correct. And now I know people are going to say, no, I'm not correct because Elle died. But if you really pay attention to the end of the episode, Mike tells a story that may or may not be real, that Elle survived and moved to some far-off land where no one can find her. That story may be more accurate than he thinks, because I found on Instagram someone talking about if you look at Elle's arms during the scene where she vanishes, the 11 tattoo is gone. Now, you could be thinking that this is just a mistake, but the 11 tattoo, if you know anything about the actors themselves, the actor Millie Bobby Brown actually had that tattooed on her wrist, so they wouldn't be able to get rid of it unless it was on purpose with CGI. They purposely took that out because she was supposed to be an illusion standing in front of them while the real Elle went to escape. So, by technical terms, my theory that no one dies could still be true. That's all for now, Monster Kids.
Very observant, Jack-o'-lantern. I really didn't make many predictions or try to get into guessing who would die. My only real one was I really believed that Kylie, or 8, or whatever her name was, the friend of 11's from the lab, I really believed she was going to turn out to be a bad guy and was wrong. But very observant. And yes, you did call it.
Goditi questo episodio de Cast Macabro.
Thank you, Maria Monstalia, for telling our Italian friends to enjoy this episode of Macabre Cast. Chicago Tina said in an episode or so ago that she wished she had the friends like the friends in Stranger Things. Friends that would fight demigorgons to defend her. There are demigorgons in our world, they just aren't slimy monsters. You have more friends than you know who would stand by your side. I know I would. But truth be told, I always 100% agreed with the final line in the Stephen King movie adaptation of The Body, Stand By Me. I never had any friends later on like the ones I had when I was 12. Does anybody? I 100% agreed, but was lucky enough to have married my best friend. Beware the moon. Keep clear of the moors. But most of all, remember, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon, I hope.
This is a Macabre Theater production.